You're listening to The Imposter Entrepreneur with Miss Tiffany Menifee. Let's lay down some ground rules. We're going to talk about business, life, relationships, alcohol, because more than likely we're going to be drinking while we're recording this, because let's be realistic, all entrepreneurs have a vice, and there's probably going to be some cursing going on.
And yet, let's not forget that Miss Tiffany will probably say something highly offensive and not realize it's offensive. So if y'all aren't down with that, stop listening right now.
But if you're chill and not easily offended, then the Imposter Entrepreneur podcast is for you. Remember to follow us on all our social media pages and subscribe to our podcast. Now let's just jump into this week's topic. Okay, so we're officially live now, Eddie.
Got it.
So this week, Oscar's not dying. So we had the official countdown. So we're glad that Oscar is back to us for our podcast because we have Eddie Villegas with Farmers Insurance.
Yes.
An agent on the Imposter Entrepreneur. I'm super actually excited about this because we started in the same industry.
We did. I know you used to do this in Austin. Right?
I did. And should I say I loved it?
You might be.
I may be lying. Okay.
Yeah.
So you started in the sales industry, and we'll get in because people are still tuning in.
Yeah.
When you start, how long ago did you start?
So I've been doing this for a few years, about 8 years.
With Farmers?
No.
Who did you start with?
I started with Allstate.
Did you ever have to cold call?
I had to cold call,
Do you remember your cold call pitch? What you had to say?
I sucked. I sucked. That was horrible.
You didn't have a script? I still remember my script. I remember my script. Do you want to hear my script?
Let's hear it, because
okay.
That'd be one more than I've ever used.
I was 18 in one day. For real.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, when I started with Farmers.
Jeez.
And we used to have these huge books. It was no digital stuff that gave you sales leads and these books, and you had to look. And so we'd have calling parties. And so your district manager would get pizza and drinks, and then you would call these people. And so it was ring, ring, ring. And it was, hi, this is Tiffany with Farmers Insurance. Is it too early or too late in the year to quote your auto insurance needs?
Wow, that's really good. I was so bad. I had no game on how to say things.
And then this is what everybody always says, and they even tell me now, they're like, why do you have your sex phone operator voice on? I'm like, I don't know. I'm having to cold call, so I feel like this is just the automatic voice that comes on when you make me talk to strangers that I feel uncomfortable with, that don't want to talk to me.
I just wanted to get the words out. I was like, my name's Eddie. I own the agency. Can I give you a quote? Literally.
You're like, a quote for what? What are you quoting? You're like,
there was a point where I would say, you tell me. You want
auto,
home.
I'll do whatever you want. I just give me your money.
Please.
I'm working for myself, and it's in sales, and it's hard, right?
It was horrible. It's the worst thing. Even now, when I have to make calls to strangers, calling my customers, it's a piece of cake. But when it's strangers, I'd rather do anything else than that.
Wait, what kind of calls make you uncomfortable to strangers? I know we were in BNI together for a little bit. So when in BNI, if you don't know, is Business Networking International, you get warm leads and stuff, or you're supposed to.
Sure.
So would you be uncomfortable calling those people that were expecting your call?
No.
As a salesperson?
No, that's warm. They're probably expecting me, or somebody set me up, kind of teed it up for me. It's people that I've just don't know if they're interested. It's a cold call, a cold call, just no
straight
knowledge.
Out cold call.
Yeah. I mean, I do it now. I go by, I drive by businesses, I talk to them, and the face-to-face doesn't seem to affect me as bad.
Everybody asks, they're like, you're so personable and everybody likes you. And I'm like, I still get weirded out having to talk to strangers sometimes. And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. I do. I'm like, okay, well, you don't really want to talk to me, so I'm going to leave. I don't really need to be here. So I'm a horrible, horrible salesperson.
Yeah, well, again, if I'm visiting people, I started to think that I'm never going to see them again. So put it out there, what I'm doing. I mean, I'm not soliciting bad things. I'm soliciting for insurance, hopefully protect them. But other than that, I mean, it's just a rejection. And my brother gave me that advice before I started. He says, if you're used to getting no's all the time, then you'll be fine. And I I was, you know, I didn't.
I'm all like, I don't know. I'm not.
I
I'm
got-
like, they said no. They don't like me. Okay,
Yeah,
I gotta go.
I got a lot of no's, but you don't get used to it, you know,
No,
and
dude,
it still sucks to get a
it
no.
does suck. So
And it's personal.
it is personal, and as a salesperson, it's super hard. So for anybody that's tuning in, if y'all have questions, just shoot them out there. I may or may not answer because I don't know how to read the questions unless Oscar like shouts at me from at the end. So Oscar, if we get a question, just like throw it out there, and I mean, we were talking about Howard Stern earlier, and but
I love him.
we're not going to get into that. But I mean, we can do the Howard Sterns of business entrepreneur stuff. So I like to do Tinder for business. So like if you were a Tinder like app, do you know what Tinder is? Are you too old for this, Eddie?
Well, I'm a little old, but I do listen to Howard Stern.
So you know what
I
Tinder is? But
yeah.
I think there's like a new one or something that somebody mentioned the other day, and they were like 20. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So like, tell me, like if we were in a business dating website, like tell me
Yeah.
about your business. Tell me like your background and stuff, so I sort of know, and then I'm gonna ask you other questions.
So wait, the Tinder or do you want to know the real background? Because if it's Tinder, I'd say
Yes,
I'm easy. I'm easy. Like just give me a shot. I'll do my best. I'll try my best.
Hey, I feel like that was a real Tinder. Like, hey, I'm just easy.
Yeah,
Just hit me up, girl. Hit me up. I do business
but
for you.
that's what it
But
is, man.
that is like for real true about Tinder for business.
Like you tell me what you want, and I will try to do it.
Okay,
That's
so
it.
maybe like, wait, what's the other ones? Like eHarmony or something? Give me your eHarmony version of it.
Oh, jeez.
Because we got Tinder was just hit me up. I'm going to do business for you. Like, I got this. What do you want? So, like, I make
here.
all your dreams come true.
As long as I'm awake, I can help you out.
As long as I'm awake. Okay, so if it was eHarmony for business now, so give me like your background and like tell me a little bit about yourself because
all right.
you know what? Because we know each other, but we don't really know each other. I think how many times have we officially met like in person?
It's less than a handful.
Less
of
than a
times.
handful.
Yeah.
But we have the mutual background, and then it
Sure.
turns out we have mutual well, like one mutual friend, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, do you call Rogelio your friend? Yes, Rogelio. I'm throwing your name out there, Rogelio Carrasco.
Rogelio, I do.
He makes me
You're
have
my
to
friend.
drink. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm questioning if I claim him.
No, I do claim him. He's a good guy. I like him.
He
like
is.
him.
So we have mutual friends. So okay, tell me your background a little.
All right. So I was born in Mexico. I've lived here all my life. My parents were business owners. I've worked
I
in.
really kept a comment of making a Trump comment on just because I don't
Wait,
care
yes,
one way
I'm
or
an
another.
immigrant.
But I wanted to like be a jackass and make some comment, but I didn't. So I kept it to myself. Y'all should be
yeah.
proud.
So
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
no,
Go on.
I'm a straight up immigrant. So
I love
it's all
it.
right. So you know, my parents were business owners. I worked for various service industries, hotels, restaurants, and no matter what kind of job I did, my pay stayed the same. So it came a point where I decided to do this on my own. So when I decided to do it on my own, I figured if I can put my hard work into helping other people by selling them policies, I would, and I have. And I think we've done a good job, especially in the last 3 years or so.
It's hard.
It's a really hard job because you really do have to
he sells
balance.
insurance. In case you didn't
Yeah.
know, that's where we connected. He sells
And,
insurance.
You know, the thing that we've done to set ourselves apart is we're also we're in the finance industry as well. So we don't just sell insurance. We'll do your 401ks, rollovers, retirements, college planning. So we do that. Not all agents can do that. But for me, it's more of like I know how important my dollars are. So I try to take that mindset into the people that I help. I try to, manage what they can afford with what is right.
Is it hard being a salesperson? Because so many times people are like, well, I don't want to, and you're like, oh, you try to convince them and you're like, what's right for them. But I think that's one of the hardest things as a salesperson.
It was tough when you're starting with zero, as the more accounts you get, the bigger you get, it becomes easier to do to do it right.
Well, I think just in business as general, I mean, no matter what industry you're in, like when I was starting off, I was like, oh my God, somebody just give me a car to fix, I just need a car, and then it was like, oh my God, now I have 2 cars,
Yeah.
and then, oh my gosh, somebody like recommended me and sent me another one. And so you get less desperate, because I think we all go through that phase, especially when you're starting off as a business owner. You go through that desperation phase of like, oh shit, like.
Well, you got to pay bills.
Yeah.
And when you're having to pay bills and what you're bringing in every month is not covering, and then you're having to rely on people. And I've had to rely on family and friends. And
yeah, I think everybody is. It's hard. We were just talking as business people. So Oscar was in the hospital last week, and we were like, okay, who has health insurance in this building? Because we're all entrepreneurs. And I'm like, I don't have health insurance. They don't have health insurance. You have health insurance because you have kids, right?
Right.
And so, but we were talking about how expensive it is. And I think
it's
too expensive. I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of us forfeit having health insurance for ourselves because we can't afford it as small entrepreneurs.
Well, we forfeit a lot of stuff. I mean, there's times that I'll eat a granola in the morning, and then I'll get a bag of chips from the dollar store.
Okay, that might be because you're a man and don't know how to take care of yourself, Eddie. I'm just going to throw that out there, because there's McDonald's happy dollar menu.
Yeah, but if you eat that a lot, it gets old. Even like
it does get old.
That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes the churros from the store are way better than the
Obviously,
2 cheeseburgers.
If you're tuning in anywhere but El Paso, we are on the border and we love churros. And
Yes.
If you're an entrepreneur like myself, I like to go across the border for services just because it's cheaper for me. And that's what we were talking about. We were like, ooh, the dentist over there, like I can get a root canal for how much? Like, oh yes, we'll do that instead of having to have American dental insurance and pay it
massages.
here. I have a massage in the dental chair. And I mean, there have been other things that happen in El Paso. They're like, oh, shut that massage parlor down. But no, that is not the type of dentist we go to in Juarez.
No. So yeah, you watch every dollar. I can't take care of myself. I'll admit to that, but that's all right.
I can't take care of myself either. I have a team of people. Dude, for the love of God, I made my new office secretary do my makeup earlier because I was too tired this morning to do my own makeup at 5 a.m.
You shouldn't be wearing makeup at 5 a.m.
There's judgment over here going on. He's like, what's wrong with you?
No, not at 5.
I'm like, 5 a.m. I roll in. I'm like, I'm tired. And I'm probably Zyra. I don't know. I'm still working on pronouncing her name.
Probably Zyda.
I don't know. They tell me I whiteify it a lot. I'm still working on this. And I'm like, okay, part of your probation for being my secretary here at the office is you have to do my makeup. It's in the drawer. And she's like, okay. So, I mean, have you ever made anybody employee that works for you do something ridiculous? I mean, hopefully you're not making them do your makeup, Eddie. I would question this, but and then I did give her my credit card and told her to go to the mall and buy more makeup because I had run out. I'm too lazy to go get it myself. So, I mean, that is, probably not, but this is how I look at it. I'm paying her so much an hour. If I go do it and take an hour to drive to the mall, come back and get that, I mean, could I have been doing business and making more money in the meantime, or pay her $8 or $9 an hour to go do it? So this is how I look at it. Even though it looks ridiculous that I'm like, I just have my secretary go and get makeup at the mall for me, but I'm like, okay, let's justify what am I actually doing?
So no makeup, but there was a point where I would have, current staff email me their best 10 ideas for gifts for my wife, because I've run out of ideas. If you're watching, sorry.
Wait, what was some of the best ones? Did you ever use the ideas off the list?
You know what? I couldn't remember what I gave her last year. I have little memory, but more than likely, their ideas are what I use.
I'm a bitch. The last time I had to give a gift, it was like, you're welcome. I haven't left you.
You know,
they did.
I have.
We'll talk about that on another segment when I have my therapist on.
Yeah. So my brother told me once that he gave the woman he was with cash, and back then I thought it was so ridiculous, but nowadays, I think that would be like if I was receiving cash, I would be thrilled. I'd be happy. But I don't think that would fly with.
I have so many comments in reference
well,
to that.
well, cash
I am
on
like,
the-
you're just like,
on the
here,
nightstand."
Here, baby, here's some cash. Like, go buy yourself something pretty. I'm like, oh, hell no, Eddie. No, this is not how this works.
Yeah, like, nice job. Thanks for.
Yeah. Thanks for birthing my children
Yeah.
and stuff. Here's some money. Go take care of yourself.
Think about what's the
No.
difference between that and a gift card. The people love gift cards. Cash is king, isn't it?
I think the reason the difference is because cash, and especially I think women, will tentatively not spend it on ourselves and we'll spend it on somebody else or the kids. I mean, I don't have kids. I might spend it on my dogs. But if it's a gift card to like one of their places that they like, then they have to spend it on themselves for the most part. I think is where the difference is if you need some help and justification of like why you should not give cash.
So that's a really good explanation, and I'm glad you gave it to me because I never thought about it that way.
Exactly, because if you give your wife $100, what and the kids are there, what is she going to do? She's more than likely going to either save it or do something or
Yeah, my wife would. She'd probably save it or.
so they don't actually spend it on themselves or something like that. You know what? Hands down, if you have kids and you're an entrepreneur and you have a significant other at home taking care of things, they have to deal with you because entrepreneurs like large children also. We're pains in the asses. We don't know what we're doing. You can't take care of yourself. You're eating a granola bar and chips for like your whole meal process. I'm the same way. My office staff like feed me throughout the day because they're like, somebody please feed her.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I think I'm intolerable. Certain times I'm moody. I'm a ton of things.
I'm gonna say I'm not moody.
Oh, I'm moody, but I'm like the best.
I mean, but
moody for anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
you're a good moody.
yeah, great moody.
Yeah, I'd like to call BS on this.
No,
like, wait,
no,
what?
no,
Like,
no,
wait. Can we have a calling call? Can we call his wife? Can we call your office assistant or manager? Like a good moody. I'm like, what is a good moody like?
I'm better moody than most people are at their best. Like with the people close to me.
I'm a Rogelio.
Wait,
can you call into this?
That probably
I
just sounded
BS.
really shitty and like arrogant or something. But seriously, because I can bust out of it in time and be great. Seriously, somebody stick up for me.
I'm calling BS on this. Like, no, like if I'm moody in the office, I'm moody. But like if a customer comes in, I'm all, hi, how are you? I'm like afterwards. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that I can be moody and grumpy at the office. I like to think that I'm not, but I'm sure that's a lie.
Well, that's where they would have to interview like your staff.
I'm sure. And they tell me all the time.
Different.
We were talking about the Christmas cards because we always do a different Christmas card each year with the entire staff, and it's always in front of the brick wall that says Pronto on it, and it's always something funny. And I'm like, okay, well, what are we going to do this year? And I freaking kid you not. I'm like throwing ideas out, and Bree looks at me. She goes, we're going to tape your mouth shut and like wrap you up. And like, I'm like, thanks, Bree. She just, I was like, we know where you're. So there's like, we don't even have to ask. They're just going to tell you straight to my face. Like,
well, but they obviously have a nice feel for you because
they have a good
can say it,
yeah,
you know? Because otherwise.
Well, and then I'm like, well, can we just put a bow over my mouth that's taped? I mean, then I'm down. I'm like just y'all wrap me up and like y'all are like throwing me in the car and have like the tape over my mouth with a bow. I'm down for it. I don't care. Last year we had all the guys like lined up against the brick wall like they were all bad elves and like we were like picking them out of a lineup. It was great at Christmas cards. So there's always something different, but I was like, so I'm sure I have my moments of ridiculousness and they do ignore me a lot.
But the thing is, like, we're doing it for ourselves as far as the business side, because there's people that work for others and they still have that shitty mood and they still suck. You know what I mean? And
I think like even like I don't know how you are with your stuff, but for me, like I tell them everything. Like if fucking shit's going wrong, I'm like fucking shit's going wrong. Like because I don't want them to perceive me as and I don't know, and y'all like clarify for me if y'all are different or if anybody has a different aspect. But for me, I'm like, I think as business owners, a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, you're making so much money. You own your own business, and oh, you can do this, and oh, you can do that. I'm like, fuck no, I didn't even pay myself this week, or I have to do this, and I don't know, and I can't even freaking make it home before 11 o'clock because and everybody thinks you're having fun, but I'm like, I'm just trying to bring business in. And so for me, I probably share way more with my staff than I probably should as a business owner, but I want them to see hey, I'm working hard and I'm struggling also in if you're struggling, because let's be realistic. My employees, most of them are paycheck to paycheck.
Sure.
And that's just how the industry is, and I'm sure some of your staff are like that also. But I want them to know that I struggle also. It's not just all glamour, and I take care of stuff. So when shit goes wrong, I'm like fuck, shit goes wrong, I let them know, and so that way they're on the same game plan, because I don't want them to be like, oh well, she's making all this money on us because we see a insurance claim come through, or we see a repair come through, and we think we made $6,000, and they don't see the back end of the parts and the labor and everything like that. So I'm pretty transparent in reference to that, and I know maybe it's probably not the best sometimes because they do know way more than they probably should, but I'm like, hey, at least they know.
I'm transparent on the money, and my staff knows that I'm definitely not rolling in money. Most people think you own your own business and you've been in business for a little while.
Yeah.
Then you're definitely
have money.
Living some kind of a high life. But you talk about my staff talk working and living paycheck to paycheck. Very often I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck.
I feel like that. Would I have to pay freaking payroll taxes? Oh, for the love of God!
That's to this day, it's still one of my proudest moments. The fact that I've never missed a payroll. But I've lost hair over payroll. I've lost sleep over payroll.
But how about payroll taxes on top of that?
I'm like, I have a service. Well, the service that I use, they do everything at once.
I feel like my payroll taxes are like another employee.
They are,
and it's ridiculous.
They are.
And then if you pay, how often do you have to pay payroll tax?
Every 2 weeks. Well, I do it every 2 weeks, but the company that I use does it quarterly. But they take it every.
See, I have to pay weekly.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, no. I have to pay payroll tax weekly. And so
Why?
Because you get over a certain amount of money and you have to pay it weekly.
Man, you must be loaded.
Fuck you, Eddie. Fuck you.
Shit, you're living the good life, man.
No, we are drinking White Claws for the love of God.
Thank you, by the way.
I was like, I don't know if I can make him drink wine, and I'm not going to the store because the last time I went to the store, they carded me, and then I couldn't find my driver's license because, okay, let's be honest, I get busy, and then my car looks like it's freaking something's exploded in there, and there's shoes and purses and clothes, and my driver's license is in the car somewhere. And I don't know where it is, and they're carding me. I'm like, can I just show you my driver's license on my phone? And they're like, no, lady, you can't. I'm like, ah. And then the homeless guy is like, give me $20 and I'll go buy it for you. And I'm like, no, I'm bartering with the homeless person outside the freaking Circle K. So that's,
yeah, but you could drive the price down with him.
Well, it was just ridiculous. And he's like, and I'm like, no. And he's like, I know where you're you in a body shop and look at your car and it's dirty. You should pay me. And I'm like, oh God, no, I'm just not dealing with the Circle K and I'm buying him beer. So
I stopped being asked for ID a long time ago, so I can't relate.
You know what? I feel like they're just trying to humor me at this point. I'm like, thank you for asking for my ID. It makes me feel better as a person.
Yeah, no, I haven't shown an ID in a long time.
We really got totally off subject, and I don't even have the timer on today to know how long I've been going.
What is this?
I don't know. We just keep talking until I'm done and I'm bored, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done, Eddie. We're done. We can get off of here. I want to ask you something. If you've seen have you seen high-low buffalo? And tell me a high and tell me a low, and then tell me something that's surprising a buffalo. Because would you see a buffalo come across?
Okay, so no, I haven't.
Okay, because so you have kids. How old are your kids?
They're 10, 8, and 6.
Okay, so my sister-in-law, the kids are a little bit younger, but she does it with the kids. So when she picks them up from school, she's like, give me a high, give me a low, and then give me something surprising or a buffalo,
Sure.
And so I'm like, do you have a business high that you had going throughout this process these last couple of years that you just remembered that was a moment for you?
Jeez. it may sound cheesy, but I've had customers that have expressed their appreciation like in tears, based on things that we've helped them with. And
damn it, I never had tears as an insurance agent. I was doing something wrong.
We've had it at least twice. One of them was really hard. It was hard for me, but we've had it at least 2 or 3 times that like in tears, like we're so thankful,
grateful and stuff. That's really nice.
It's awesome, but there was nothing different that we did.
Yeah, it was just that we're very grateful.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anything really weird a customer do to you, or like say? I mean, because I've had weird customers, like all kinds of weird customers.
So this one is scary. So there was like when I was first starting, I had a customer walk in and said, "I want you to do my house, my autos, and my business." And so I did everything, and I was like, "Where did this come from? This was awesome." And then the guy owned rental properties. He let me insure that. So I just thought, man, this is easy.
You're like gold mine.
It's gonna be great. Guy seemed shady, and then after a while, the guy was scary. So fast forward maybe like 2 years ago, so about 5 years after the experience, the guy was sentenced to 99 years because he killed his wife. Him and his sister killed his wife. They lured her into Juarez, and then they killed her down there. And the dude, there was one point where
And you met him?
He was
not
your
only
customer.
did I
meet him, he was my customer, and I was like,
did you write life insurance on his wife?
I did not.
Sorry.
I did not.
My bad. Sorry.
I wish I would have. That was a good commission, but I didn't. No.
Then we wouldn't have paid either.
Yeah, but that's not my problem.
Yeah, not your problem. But that's crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, a couple of years ago, on the news, 99 years, he lured his wife.
That's crazy. I remember one of the craziest things I ever had as a agent or a salesperson is I had a customer that was in an accident, and she was a middle-aged woman, and she came in and she was like, no, I really want to prove to you the injuries that I have. And I'm like, no, that's like medical bills and stuff. Like, you don't have to worry about that. She's like, no, like I want to prove to you. Like, she starts unbuttoning her shirt in the shop and stuff. And
Was
I'm
there
like,
music playing in the background?
no, and it was not a woman that you want to see unbuttoning her shirt in the shop. I'm like, oh my, I'm like, no, please, like, but like, you don't have to take your clothes off to show me your bruises from the car accident. I do not want to see this. So I mean, like,
where did she have bruises?
Because the seatbelt across her chest, and so I was like, what is happening in my shop? I'm like, why is this woman taking her clothes off? I was like, please put your clothes back on. We don't need to see that. But I think even as salespeople, you see crazy stuff, and I would love to hear some of everybody else's crazy sales stuff, because I used to have strippers insured, and they would come in after their like rounds, and they would be super like scantily dressed, and they would always want to give me a hug, and I was always sitting down in my chair, and they would always come around the desk and like hug me, and multiple times. Like their boob,
like a boob was in your face.
No, they like popped out and like popped me in the face, and they're like, "Oh, my bad," and just like put it back in. I'm like, what just happened? Why did I get like hit with a boob in the face in an insurance office? So I mean,
so that's where you should have called some of your techs into the office for, like, hey, where are the parts to this? And
I was like, I don't know what's happening. Why is this awkward? And because I get awkward people all the time at the shop. There, and the girls are like, you just like attract them, like, because you like you're just like, oh, you got a weird situation. Call Tiffany. She wants to hear about it. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Oh no, I've had like, there was this one guy that I had that he had a claim when his girlfriend was driving, but the policy was under his wife. So the girlfriend decided to sue it for the PIP, the personal injury protection, and the wife would call me and tell me, like, what is going on with this? What is this all
and
about?
You're like, I know nothing.
And then the husband would call me and say, like, hey, you don't know anything about this. And I
don't ask, don't tell.
Fudge,
don't ask, don't tell. I have those questions all the time. We have people wreck their girlfriends' cars. So we were at the bar the other day having lunch, and here's one of my customers comes through. I'm like, oh, yep, fixed his car. Oh, yep, also fixed his girlfriend's car. But I said, I don't know nothing. I don't say shit, because you know what? Next time somebody else wrecks their car, I want him to let me fix it, because I say nothing. So I don't care. care. There's no judgment here. I'm all, you do you, as long as I'm fixing your car. Like, I'm completely fine with it.
I love the stories.
But it's great
awesome.
Stories. They're ridiculous. Okay.
They're good stories.
Tell me a low. Do you have like a low in business that you're like, fuck my life? Because I have lows like every single day. Like, I'm like, fuck, like the amount of paperwork and like that I have to do I just like drown in it.
So the lows would be having to borrow money.
Yeah, no.
It like, I mean, I borrowed money from family, like, shit, my brothers.
Does it demoralize?
Like, it just
as
sucks.
a business owner, it like demoralizes you,
Well,
right? A little?
For me,
It's like you're failing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So you start thinking, shit, what am I doing? What do I need to go do? Do I need to close the shop down? Because obviously I'm not doing something right. But then you see what you're doing, and on paper you're successful.
And it's so hard because I have a buddy that is a GM for a large restaurant here, and we were just talking about it. It's been open for 4 years, and it's a huge chain restaurant in other areas. They do fabulous. And he's like, we just broke we're in the green this month, and then we've been open 4 years now. He's like, so for basically 4 years, they've been in the red, but because they have a corporation backing them up, they're able to front that money because they knew eventually it was going to happen. But as an entrepreneur and a salesperson, we don't have that luxury of being like, okay, I can be like in the red for 4 years because, dude, if we're in the red for 4 years as a small business owner or entrepreneur, like, it's not happening. Like, the doors are going to shut.
Yeah, you're letting go of people. You're cutting hours. I mean, that's my biggest stress is payroll. That's my biggest expense.
Every freaking week is payroll.
Yeah, that's too much. So yeah, but borrowing money or just not having enough to where you're telling people no, like, hey, let's go out to dinner. Well, maybe not today. You're not saying it out loud like, oh, I don't feel like it.
I got a meeting. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
It's just like, shit, can't. And that's tough because it does, at least for me, in my mind, I'm super dramatic. It's like, oh, it's over. My life is over. I suck.
No, I'm dramatic too.
And I can't handle this. And
I feel like most entrepreneurs are probably dramatic like that because I am super dramatic when I'm like, what's fucking my life? What am I doing? And then they're like, oh, here's like an award. I'm like, why are you fucking giving me an award? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, you are misplaced like this, like promotion or whatever.
So I hate awards. I don't like them, but I've gotten a few, and those are, as much as I say, I don't care about them, or I don't. That's when I think I'm doing the right thing. So they do mean a lot, but ultimately, still broke.
Well, still broke, and like they give me stuff, and I'm like, wait, did you actually look at what I'm doing, or are you just like think that this is a good idea? Because I'm pretty sure that you really don't know what the hell's happening over here.
Or somebody else turned it down, and
basically. So, because it's overwhelming. I have a fuck my life moment at the shop almost every goddamn day. I'm like we had to switch banks, and I'm like, and then like half the shit was going into the wrong QuickBooks account from this, and I'm like, fuck my life. I have to now fix this, and like it's like 5 million pieces of paperwork, and I'm just like drowning in stuff. And they're like, what are you doing? They're like, but you're doing happy hour. I'm like, yes, I'm doing happy hour, and then I'm back at the shop at like 8 o'clock till midnight to freaking do paperwork because no one else is going to do it. And they're like, hire another person. I'm like,
they cost money.
I'm like, hire another person with what money? Because I can't afford anything else. And so it's hard.
Well, it's hard. And then the one thing that I've learned, and I don't know if it's the right thing to learn or not to learn, but the time going back to the office or staying super late, I stopped doing that because I was like, I'm doing just as I'm producing just as well now, maybe with a little bit more knowledge or whatever, than I was when I was staying super late doing this fucking cold calling. Like, I hated that, and so you get away from that shit. You start doing other things.
Unfortunately, I haven't had that because ours is the insurance companies like to draw me in paperwork. So a lot of mine's the back end of the shop because I'm out there, and as as a business owner, a salesperson, you're trying to make calls and you're doing meetings and you're doing lunch appointments. And so I'm out of the shop a lot. And so because I'm out of the shop doing other
still have
stuff,
to go
I
back.
still have my own stuff that I need to take care of, the accounting side and, checking on side. And that's where I think I struggle as a business owner is like, hey, I know that I need to make these connections and be out in public and like doing this because that's what's driving business in also. But there's still a back end to the shop of like, I need to take care of this stuff.
Right.
And that's for me. And dude, if somebody has like a recommendation, I know that everybody tells me like, work on your business, not in your business. I'm like, that is easier said than done. And please don't ever say that to me because I'm probably going to just roll my eyes at you.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have all this infinite wisdom, and a lot of times that all they do is have these ideas, but they've never like actually put them in place.
Practice, and I'm like, it's so easy to tell me stuff, and then putting into practice is something completely different, and practice doesn't work that well. So, it's frustrating. Do you have a buffalo, something surprising that's ever happened in business? Like, I have different shit every week, so I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I have to think about a buffalo that's happened this week besides, I haven't cried this week. That is like a super buffalo. I didn't cry over business. I cried yesterday, but that was just for random bullshit because, I don't know.
Well, but crying is like different for you and I compared to most other people. Because like for me, there's times where I'm struggling so much, I'll shed a tear out of frustration or this and that. And then you get up and you're like, fuck this, got to keep going.
Yes. Somebody asked me the other day, like, what's on your screensaver on your phone? I'm like, really, y'all want to know? I'm like, a wise woman said, fuck this shit, and she lived happily ever after.
I believe her.
I was like, because I cry out of frustration too, because I'm like, I just can't make it work, or like, I know it should be working one way or not, and and so, but do you have a buffalo that just something surprising that's ever happened, or that you're like, oh, holy shit?
Man, this is where I bore people to death because I sell insurance.
Insurance is boring.
Yeah,
even
so
though
there's,
I do
we've
love
never
it.
had any.
But it can be anything. Like I think my buffalo this week was earlier today. I had fixed a customer's car that, we fixed a windshield or something. It was something super minor. I made like $50 off of it. And I guess they were driving by the shop and they like took a picture of the side of the shop with all the murals and the cars out there. And they're like, "You're doing a great job." And they texted me the picture. I haven't talked to this customer in like 2 years. I don't know them really from Adam. I didn't ever even meet them, but for them just to like drive by and take a picture of the shop and like send it to me and saying we're doing a good job, like that's like surprising to me that like somebody's nice. Like nice or kind like that. So like for me, like, that was my buffalo so far this week besides not crying.
I guess the closest thing I can get to that was I had a little old couple and they brought me burritos. Yeah.
Anybody that brings food to your salesperson, God bless them.
Yeah, so I mean,
I get to work at 7:30. Anybody that wants me to bring me burritos, y'all just come on and bring me burritos. Yeah, but I don't eat meat, just FYI.
Oh, what?
No, I'm vegetarian. I'm weird like that. It's okay.
Yeah, well, good luck.
We're bringing the Austin hippie stuff over to El Paso.
Yeah, no, I need meat. But yeah, burritos is as buffalo as it gets because, like I said, people are either going to appreciate you once they like hate their life because of the accident, or there's like no in between.
And those buffaloes are, I think, those surprising moments in business are what like makes it worth it sometimes.
I guess I have to revert back to the highs.
Yeah.
The few highs, because on a normal week, if somebody says or walks away happy without complaining about a rate or how something was handled, that's probably my buffalo. Because again, with me, they talk to me when they're buying insurance and when they have a claim.
And no one ever wants to buy insurance because you have to force to, and it's always expensive, and you don't want to pay it. And
I pocket all the money.
And you take all the money, Eddie, all the money.
All of it.
You do all of it.
All of it. I mean, that's what they think.
Is there anything that you've like really wished somebody would have told you like going into business? I think what you had talked about your brother saying, like everybody's just going to tell you no, like get used to it. Like,
well, I wish I would have heard that. And then my wife, before I started, she said, "This is a sales job," and I've never, well, at least not then, well, probably still not now. I was never the outgoing, happy-go-lucky, let's do this. I was a little more low key. So
believe it or not, I am not an extrovert.
yeah, so she was kind of like setting me up for like, you're gonna have to do a lot of shit that you don't like to do.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have listened more to that. But on the same token, if I would have listened to that, I would still have a regular job, hoping for a raise or something like that.
One of my favorite memes is like entrepreneurs, somebody like, that works 90 hours a week, so they don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else. I mean, that is totally what we are. We don't, most entrepreneurs don't like somebody to tell them what to do.
But you're also setting yourself up because you're not going to do this forever. Like you work your butt off now, but it could be in 5 years, 10 years where you're probably just checking in because once the business rolls and you're going and you grow,
I hope so. Or some rich person come and buy my business and just they give me a ton of money for it. Just throwing it out there. Throwing it out there, people. It's hard, I know. For me, I don't know what I wish somebody would have told me except, I don't know.
I'm glad I didn't know much because then I wouldn't have done it.
I'm still a hot mess. Like I'm like, okay, look, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I will I think for me, I think the one piece of advice that my mentor had given me, Tom Horton, he was a farmer's agent for years. And he said, always ask, like after you've done asking your questions and you've talked to somebody, be like, what is, and it can apply with all kinds of things, but he was like, what is the question I didn't ask? What's the question that somebody else always asks that I forgot to ask? And I think in business, that's helped me a lot. That especially when people are trying to sell you stuff, it's like, okay, well, you have all these ideas and you ask everything. And it's like, okay, and then I always end with, okay, now that I'm done asking all my questions and you've done telling me everything, what's the one thing that I forgot to ask or the one thing that I should know? And that's helped me a ton in business.
I think that in itself is great advice because
I mean, how many times that we're like, you're going and asking questions as a business person or a salesperson, and then you're done, and then you leave, and like 45 minutes later, you're like, fuck, I wish I would have asked that question. And so he like really drilled that into me, like especially when dealing with insurance companies and stuff. And it's like asking, okay, what did I forget to ask? And so I think for me that was really good advice, and I've used that throughout the years to like sort of help me. Like, okay, like even like we're doing a sponsorship coming up here soon, and we just had a sales meeting with the TV station, and after I asked, I said, okay, what did I forget to ask, or what did I forget to ask for or tell me? And for me, that was really important advice, and I've used that throughout my career.
I might steal that from you.
Do it
because it's where at least I find myself like guessing. Like I think I need to approach it this way. They want to know this. They want to know that, and that's me making it more complicated instead of just saying, what do you want to know? Yeah. After I've done telling you, what
did I forget to ask? What did I forget to tell you? Is there something I didn't address? And so that's been like super crucial. And then I think the other piece of advice was just his life advice. I've been friends with him for, I think since I was 19, so he's been a mentor for a really long time. And I see him when I go back to Austin and, because he was a farmer's agent for almost 40 years, I guess. And he said, he was like, anytime you have a big moment in life or, something that's like memorable or, something that, happened that, you really like, bringing burritos or something. He was like, think of your memory as like a Polaroid. Take a snapshot, take a moment, think about it, like put those memories to that details to your memory and just think about that. So when you have that hard time, you can go back to that snapshot of, hey, this was a good moment, or hey, this was this happened. Because sometimes we just go through like business and life and we're like, okay, I don't even know what the fuck I did this last month. And so like he was like, take a snapshot like in your head of like how you felt when that happened. So when you're like all down and like crying in the closet because you haven't made payroll, that you have that like that memory and stuff. And I always thought that was really good advice that I've tried to remember, like, hey, this is how it made me feel, or I remember this. And I might remember, like, I might forget details and I might forget specifics and stuff, but I don't like forget how it made me feel. And I think that was really good advice he gave me also.
That is good advice. I know that I've applied that advice, not knowing the person that you were talking about, but I've applied it with the negatives, like the bad points in life, like the times that you really feel, oh, this is terrible. And I tell myself, remember that, so that you don't have to go through that shit ever again.
See, and I'm
but
opposite. I'm like, okay, I don't want to remember that, and then I'm mad and upset, and then I'm like, okay, well, we're moving on from that. Yes, I'm upset. Let me like focus on the good stuff, and then it's like, oh wait, yeah, I was mad about that, but I don't remember why I was mad about that, and so that's but I think like him like always like focusing, because he would be like, Tiffany, just let it go. That, and his other advice was, dude, if you have to tell your customer something that you are not going to like, do not drag it out all damn day long.
Just put it out.
He was like, rip the fucking Band-Aid off and just get it over with, because I'd be like, oh, I don't want to have to call this customer, like something happened and they're going to be mad. And then, you like drag it out for 4 or 5 hours because you're going to wait till the end of the day and you've made yourself miserable all day long. He was like, no, dude, if you know it's at 9 o'clock, you have to make that call at 9 o'clock. So it's just done with. And if they're pissed or whatever, you can move on from the day and not like make yourself miserable for the rest of the day until you make that call. Because I think as business people and salespeople, we do that.
Oh, I drag things out, and I
mean, you are a man, so that happens also. Men don't like to like own up to stuff.
Well,
sorry,
no,
Eddie. I'm just throwing everybody under. I'm just throwing everybody under the bus.
No, I'm an exception to the
right.
rule.
I think we do that because sometimes you're like, fuck, I don't want to have to call that customer because it's not going to be a good call.
Well, you don't want to do it, and then you start to justify it, like, well, if I do this call and it doesn't go the right way, then my day's going to turn to shit. I'm not going to sell anything. I'm not going to do. So you can always justify why you shouldn't do it, but my experience has been like you throw it out there, and I don't know if people weren't expecting it, or at least a lot of the ones that I've spoken to, they weren't expecting it, that they're kind of like in shock.
Thrown off guard.
And they're off guard, and a lot of times they're just like, okay, let me figure out what to do. And it goes a lot better, a lot faster. And
it's not making yourself miserable for 8 hours until you make the call, because, I think that was a really good piece of advice Tom had given me, because, dude, as an entrepreneur, and you're always going to have to make calls that you don't like. And it's just like, fuck, I hate that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you have to tell somebody they just had a terrible accident, home, out of whatever, and then you tell them, sorry, you're on your own. It's not going to be covered because you didn't do this or you didn't do that. It's never anybody else's fault.
It's never, and it's hard, but, and then it's even harder if it's something that you messed up also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. So, but you just have to suck it up and do it. And, but I think those were always really, good advice. And I would love to hear other people's, like, advice from their mentors and stuff, because I've been fortunate to have some amazing people, like, take me through business and stuff. I mean, I know nothing about business, but I at least know a little bit about from what they taught me, starting off in the industry. So anything else you want to add that you think that you really wish somebody would just told you before we sign off here?
Well,
besides like try to keep your sanity as a business owner, have a good therapist. That's my piece of advice.
10-4, like big time.
Have a fabulous therapist.
You got to let it out. And if you don't let it out, you're just...
this is sort of part of therapy right here, is this podcast, but,
No, you have to let it out. So, like, the cheesiest... it's been, like, ongoing advice, and I say it's cheesy, and like, anybody that really knows me would think, like, what the fudge? That's not him. Is just the power of staying positive. Because I'm probably one of the most negative people. Everything is fuck. It's it's
okay. So that's sort of like me. Sometimes like fuck my life.
yeah. So like my current DM, the dude is like all about don't think that, don't put it out there, don't this and that. And sometimes I listen to him and I'm like, what?
You're like shut up, shove it.
But man, it is so right on. It is right on, because if you can control that part, it's still going to be shitty, but at least your angle is different, and your day's better, and you start better, you finish better. But it's like, for me, it's nearly impossible to do consistently, because then I'll immediately go back to like, oh, what? We have a broken this? Fuck, this is terrible. Let's close everything. It's over. Staying positive.
I am dramatic. Sometimes I do like to like fling myself onto the bed and be like, the end of the world's happening, so, and then we get White Claw at the shop and we're fine. So, okay.
I hate to say it, but that fixes a lot. It fixes
so every entrepreneur has a vice. Go ahead and we'll take a poll of what vices are y'all's, because I'm pretty sure most of them are booze for most entrepreneurs. So yeah. I'm with it. Most entrepreneurs and salespeople's vices are booze. So y'all make sure, we're going to wrap it up, that y'all follow Eddie on social media if you haven't already, and make sure and tune in next week. I was like next month, next week. I don't even know what day it is. So make sure y'all tune in next week. And I don't even know who we have on, but it'll be fun. So y'all have a good one, and we're signing off. Thanks, Eddie, for coming.
Peace.